Welcome back, everyone. We just made our base album. I have my hinge in here. This is an 8-page book, so I have 4 hinges. If you notice, they are pretty thick. I did cut these at an angle here. There's 3/4 inches high, and there's 3/4 inch space between each one. So what I'm going to do now, before I start on page 1, I just have to finish up here. And I like to take a piece of black paper and just put it right on top of here. I hold it down with score tape, and that helps keep this down. And I'm also going to be putting a pocket here, so I like it better if you have this piece down right here. So what we need to do first, before we work on page 1, is cut 2 pieces of paper 8 inches by 7 3/4. And while you've got your trimmer out, you might as well cut the pockets. They are 9 by 5, so you'll need 2 pieces 9 by 5. So we will take our 8 by 7 3/4, and I'm going to put the 8-inch side going horizontally, 7 3/4 vertically, and I'm going to put score tape. I already started this one. I had run out of tape, so I'm refilming. But I'm using 3/8 inch score tape. This is what I'm using. I got it up from Amazon. So any score tape and 3/8 inch is a very good size. I use it all throughout the book. Okay, so here we go. Let's tape this up. And I'm just going to go all around on both of these. And just hit pause. You can get those cut. And then come back. All right. And what I'm going to do also is put a piece in at an angle here. All right, do the same thing over here. And I am putting this tape on the flat side so we have our nice linen side showing. I'll just go across. Doesn't have to be exact. Okay, and then we will press this down like we always do. See, there are little bubbles here. All right, so take off the score tape. So our longer side is going to go horizontal, and basically this paper is just a little bit beyond this hinge here. I'm going to put it so there's about a 1/2 inch on this side, and I definitely want this piece to be before this crease so we can bend our book. So I'm going to watch for that. I just got a little bit at the top, got about a 1/2 inch on the side. Pretty much a 1/2 inch top and bottom. I'll just lay that down. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the front, and then we'll do our pockets. And then we can put this book away for a little while we work on the pages. Some people like to put their pocket pages in here and work on it. I find that a little bulky. So what I do is just work on the pages, and when they're all finished, put them in the book. When you do put them in the book, just FYI, in case I forget to mention it. Now these hinges each have tape on both sides. But I will also be putting, and I just found that through time, it helps to have a little extra. So I have art glitter glue that I will just squiggle on top of that tape when I take off that backing, and that gives it some extra support, and then those pages won't go anywhere. They get kind of heavy with all the flaps and design paper, so the glue just helps it stay more secure. So here's our other piece. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch on the left here. I'm well before this crease line. Have about a 1/2 inch top and bottom. And lay that down. All right, looking good so far. Now our pockets. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to score these pockets. So you need to have 2 pieces, 9 by 5. And I'm going to take out my score runner. And with pockets, you're going to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And you just start with the side that's going to be open facing the top. So our 9-inch side is going to be open. So I'm going to start with that facing the top. And that way I have 1/2 inch on each of the 2 sides and across the bottom. And just turn it to the right here. 1/2 inch. Turn it to the right again. All right, let's do that again. Flat side is facing up. Then we will bring out the tape. There we go. And so I'm going to put the tape all along here on the linen side. So the score line is the bumpy side facing up. We just want it along the bottom edge, and we want to stay clear of that bumpy side. You can't put the tape on that or it won't bend right. Now, if you haven't seen my videos before, don't cut the corners just yet. And I will show you why. Okay, I'll press these down. All right, so now we're going to cut the corners. But what I do is I'm not going to just cut it straight across. I'm going to cut it in such a way that I can fold this lines over and leave this backing on here. We're not going to glue the sides, just the bottom. And that way when you go to put your design paper on here, you can put it past the pocket. So I will show you that. And we won't do that till the end. But basically for all my pockets, this is what I do. I've got the flat side now. I've got my 2 lines intersecting here. I am going to cut at an angle right up to that intersection, turn my scissors out to the right, and then keep going. So it makes like a little mouthpiece. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a white piece of paper. These are my chicken scratch notes here. So basically it looks like that. All right. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Just makes it easier to handle this pocket. Clean up my area here. Okay, so now we're going to fold all these pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to take off the backing of the bottom here and then fold this over, and see with this shape, this glue from the bottom helps hold this side piece down. And that way, when I go to put the pocket here, I don't have all this sticky on my fingers and sticky down here. I can move it around, and then these will not be sticky. We'll be able to put our design paper behind it, and it'll just be easier. So I'm going to put this pocket down, and I'm going to come right down to the bottom of that paper we just cut. We covered the back cover here with. So let me put it down and I will just show you real quick. I'm just putting the bottom piece. So it comes pretty much to the edge of this paper that we just glued down. It goes right and right to the left and right, and just right on here. So we've got about a 1/2 inch showing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to press this down. Now these sides will be loose until we put the design paper back here, and then we'll take off the backing and then lay it down. So one more step, just so we don't forget. We're going to have lots of things in this pocket. So what I like to do is put a magnet down first so I don't forget. I always put the positive first, that way I know that the negative would be on the other side of what I'm putting in here. And just put it right around there, because you know that whatever's sticking up, this will hit. And I'm going to cover that with a piece of tape. This way, when you go to put whatever you're putting in this pocket, we're going to make little booklets, and you could put memorabilia in here. But the little cards and booklets and things will be held down with this magnet, because you're going to be opening and closing the book, and you just don't want your stuff in the pocket to go flying around. So I have that magnet there. And let's move to the other side. This is the front cover. Got my piece of paper here, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Stick that down, stick that down, and I'm going to come right to the bottom of this paper. A magnet here also. And at the end, I will make, there's a booklet that goes in here, and I will make that with you in the last video. Put that there. And we are done here. Now, I'm going to keep this aside for a minute because I want to make our pocket pages, and I need to test it before I cut all 8 of them. I want to test one to make sure it fits. So let's make our first pocket page together, and then we'll make sure it fits onto here. So scooch this over. Okay, and on your cut list, you will see that you need to cut 8 pieces of 8.5 by 7 3/4. So let's take out 2 pieces of cardstock. And let's cut the shortest side first, because that will leave us a bigger leftover piece that we can use for another flap. So it's 7 3/4. Save that. Okay, by 8.5. Okay, and we'll do it again. 7 3/4. By 8.5. Right. I'm going to bring out the scoreboard, clean up my area here a little bit. All right. So now we're going to score this piece at 1/2 inch with the 8.5 inch side running across the top. And I can tell by looking at it, but if you want to measure, you can do that and make sure. So I've got it on the 1/2 inch line right here, flat sides up. I'll do that same thing on the other piece. Okay, and let's put some tape. So now, to put these together, this is what I like to do. I am going to put them on top of each other with the top piece with this fold facing this edge. This has got the other fold. And I'm going to just take off this piece of score tape. And I'm holding these 2 pieces of paper right flush against each other. It's lined up on the left-hand side. I can tell that these 2 papers are butting right up against each other because I don't see any piece of the table underneath, and I'm just going to press that one piece down, walk myself to the other edge, hold that down, and that's the first piece on top. And then we're going to put this one on. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm just going to line up this corner. Guide this corner right there, and then just slowly that. I hope you caught that. And now we have our first pocket page. But before we start cutting the rest of the 6 more pieces, you don't want to waste, you don't want to cut it wrong and then cut all 8 and waste 8 pieces of paper. So I like to cut the first 2, make my first pocket page, and then just make extra sure that it fits here. And it does. So when I'm going to hold it there. When I fold over my book, I want this pocket page to come right to where pretty much this pocket is under here. You want to leave a little bit of space because I'm going to have a pull-out in here. So this looks good. There is it's a little bit before this pocket, just a little bit, and there is a good, I'll measure it just so I can show you. I know it by sight, but it is about 5/8 of an inch, just a little bit more than 1/2 of an inch. Okay, so I know this fits, and I can put this book away until we finish making all 4 pages, pocket pages, and then at the very end we'll put it onto the book. So I'm going to set this aside for now, and we will come to that at the end. So now our first pocket page. Let's make page 1 together. And the first thing I want to do is I'm holding it where the openings are to the left and right, and I'm going to label this page 1. And at the same time I label that 1, I got to turn it like I'm turning my book, and I'm going to put the 2 here because this will all be covered up with flaps, and I want to make sure page 2 is facing the right direction. So I put mine in the upper left hand corner. You can put it in the upper right hand corner, bottom, as long as you're consistent. It doesn't matter where you put your page number. So I'm putting it in the upper left. All right, so now I'm going to give you your measurements for all these flaps. Hold on, just 1 second. Okay. I pre-cut most of them, but I will give this to you and you can write it down and then pause the recording and cut all your flaps. So there's going to be 2 A flaps, and they are 7 7/8 by 4 1/2. Now I use 7 7/8 a lot, so you'll get used to it, but it is 2 lines before 8 inches. Okay, so there's 2 of those. B is going to be 8 1/2 by 6. C is going to be 7 7/8 by 3. D. Now this one I am using 100-pound cardstock. If you don't have 100-pound cardstock, that's okay. I just like mine to be a little stiffer because we're going to be putting it in and out of the side pocket. So if you have that, they sell it by 8 1/2 by 11 inch packs of like 100. It'll last you a long time, but I like my inserts to be 100-pound. Those, I think I just got it at Michael's. So see what you can find. If you can't find it, don't worry about it. By the time you add design paper and all that, it'll be pretty thick. So I am going to make this. Now I know this is weird, but it just turned out that way. 7 13/16 by 7 3/8. So 7 13/16 is 1 line. Let me make sure. It's 1 line more than 7 3/4. 7 3/8 is 2 lines before 7 1/2. All right, now E is a pocket. You'll see this measurement a lot. It's 8 5/8 by 4. So 8 5/8 is 2 lines more than 8 1/2. And that is it for that. So I got these all cut, and what I did, you can't see it, but I labeled my flaps. So I put A1 and A2. I've got my B, C, I didn't cut D yet, that's the 100-pound, and E. So D, this is, let me grab the cutter. This is my 100-pound piece, and I am going to cut this one. This is the funny measurement, 7 13/16. So it's just 1 line more than 7 3/4. So I'm going to go up to the 7 3/4 line and just push 1 line beyond that. And then it's going to be by 7 3/8, which is 2 lines less than 7 1/2. So I'm going to go up to the 7 1/2 and then come back this way by 2 lines. Okay, and that will go into the side pocket. Okay, now we need the scoreboard. And let's start scoring all of these. All right, and hold this 100-pound one at the bottom. So take one of your A flaps, calling it A1, and I'm going to score 1/2 inch with the 4.5 inch side facing the top. My flat side is up. And we'll do that again with the next A piece. B is going to be scored at 1/2 inch with the 8.5 inch side. Wait a minute. Let me make sure. Yes, this one is going to be the 8.5 inch side running along the top. Okay. C is going to have the 3-inch side at the top. I mean, at the top of our score. E is a pocket, so I'm going to start with the longest side, which is going to be the open side of the pocket. I'm going to start with that at the top and score it on 3 sides. And then let's put tape on all of this. So I'm going to work backwards now. This is our pocket. This page has a fair amount going on. Some do, some have less. Again, this is the linen side. I'm putting the tape on the linen side with the bumpy side up. This is B here. Our 2 A pieces. Okay, now let's take our bone folder and fold all of these. Okay, so I'm not going to fold this yet. I want to cut it first, and we're going to do that the same way that we did the inside cover pockets. And then I can fold it. So these A pieces, I'm just noticing, I don't know if I have my measurement correct. All right, one of these I accidentally cut 4 inches. So you wouldn't have, because I gave you the correct measurement, but just give me a quick second and I just want to recut this, one of my A pieces. So this is 1.5. Sorry about that. So this piece I can just put aside for some other, flap. And I'm just going to recut one of my A pieces. Refold this. Okay, so let's get ready to put all this down on our pocket page. So I'm going to bring out my pocket page, and I'm going to take my one of my A pieces. You can label them A1 and A2, and I'm going to take off the back. And here's page 1. The 2 A flaps are going to go on the left-hand side. So I'm going to take on my left-hand side and face it towards me. And I'm just going to take this, and when I put it down, I want a little bit showing on the top and bottom, which is to my left and right. I'm going to use my thumbs here to tuck this sticky piece under and just bring it to the edge of this pocket page. So I'm going to use my fingers over here to guide it top and bottom where just a little bit is showing. My thumb is, I can feel where the edge of the paper is and where the edge of this flap, and I'm guiding it down. There we go. Right to the edge of the paper there. Okay. Now our next A piece is I'm gonna glue this on this side, like that. And it's gonna go right to the edge of this paper. Now what I'm going to do before I glue this down, I want to put a little corner round on here just to remind whoever will be looking at this book that you can flip this up. Okay, so sometimes I like to round the edge just to let people know there is a flap there. You can make a small rounding, medium. I use this We Are Memory Keepers because it has a small, medium, and large corner. I'm using medium if you have that same one, but whatever size you want, just something to let people know that there's something going on here. So I'm going to peel off this backing and do the same thing. I am lining this up left and right to the same. I want it to lay right on top of this other A flap. I'm tucking under the sticky and bringing it right to the edge of the first A flap. I can feel it here with my thumbs. I'm just going to guide it right down. Hold on, I am a little off. I didn't press it down yet, so this, in case that ever happens to you, it's a good idea to have this undo. You can just lift that right up real easy. It takes a second to dry, and I can just try again. I'm guiding it down, and there. Okay, if you're not happy with something, it's good to have this around. It's really, you just saw me, it's really easy to lift something up and just replace it. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put my little B flap. This is the little 3-inch one. The idea here is, this is our pocket. I'm going to have this go in here and have this piece on top of that so it hangs over like this. Okay? And then you can lift this up and pull this piece out. So there'll be lots of space for pictures. It's pretty cool. So let me make sure I've got it facing the right way. Yes, I do. So you pick your side that's the same length as this piece, and I'm just going to put this on the edge here. All right, it is the same, left to right is the same size, and I'm just going to guide it to the edge here with my thumbs. I'm also going to corner around this with just a small rounding here. Okay. So that's going to go in here. And it's not going to go all the way in. You want it to stick out a little. So basically, you're guiding it to right where this fold is right here. That's as far as you go. So that way, a little piece of it will stick out on the other side. The reason for that is 2 of these pages have these kind of things sticking out, and 2 of them will just have a plain piece pull out, and they stick out just a little bit so the person looking at the book can pull them out and look at the pictures on them. So keep that in mind, because when we place our magnets, you want it to be sticking out a little and not put all the way up to this crease. Okay, so I will remind you of that in a minute, but that's where it's going to go. The next thing we want to do is place our top flap on here. And what I did with this is it's really going in the middle here. And the reason for that is you will see your design paper right here. So it's going to look 3-dimensional. So let's turn this upside down because this is going on the top. And let's put this, and it doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to measure, but we're not putting it in the middle of this pocket page. We're really going from this edge, this corner right here, to where this piece sticks out. So there's a little, about 3/8 inch sticking out there. So that is what you're using to go in the middle. So if you see, here we go. Also, as I'm laying this down, before I do, I on mine am seeing it stick out a little bit here. So if you see the same thing, I don't know if I cut it wrong, but I'm just going to trim a little bit off. It didn't do that to me when I designed the book, so for whatever reason, I just have to take a little piece off. Just a hair here. So let me try that again. If I lay this down like that, it's still sticking out a little bit. And cut a little bit more off. See if that's better. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to put this down right here. Okay. That's why it's good to place it down first before you stick it down. Again, if you notice something like that after you stuck it down, no problem. You take your undo, lift it up, and cut a little piece off. Okay, so now let's turn ourselves right side up again. This is our top flap. This is my page 1. And I'm going to put my pocket on the bottom here. So that's going to go like this. And it's going to be a little bit inside of this crease. And then it comes all the way to the edge of this paper. And the reason for going inside the crease is so this can fold over that pocket. So it looks like it fits. I know I have the right measurement, and I am going to just take off that bottom piece. Okay. So I'm feeling with my thumbs here, the bottom of the page. I am looking to the left, and I just have a little bit of space before that crease line. I'm right to the edge of this paper, and I'm gonna let it go. So here, just like in the front inside cover and back inside cover of our book, I'm leaving this open so when I put my design paper, then I can peel off the backing and stick it down. Okay, so let's just make sure everything lays nice. And it does, and we will put our magnets down now. Okay, so this paper, I would like to round this one also. So I'm just going to give it a little corner round. You can either do a small or medium, either way. Looks good. And you know what? It's not a big problem, but you probably didn't need to cut too much off of here because of the pocket. But if you have a little bit showing down here, that's okay too. All right, so now let's put the magnets. I'm going to show you what I use. I'm using basic gray magnets. These ones have sticky on one side, and they're labeled positive, negative. I get these in bulk, so I don't spend too much on them. But if you don't want to go down that road, if you don't make, so many albums, you can buy magnets on Amazon that just come in a pack of magnets that are all stuck to each other, and they don't have the tape on one side. You can just take your score tape and put a piece on the back. So you can do that. But if you do that, just make sure you get real thin magnets, as thin as you can. But I'm going to be using these. So first I'm going to lay down this flap right here, the top flap. And I am going to put one on each side. Just if I put one in the middle, these sides may flip up a little. So I'm going to put one on both sides. And what I like to do, just as habit, I put the positives down first, so then I never have to guess. I know the positives are first and the negatives are what they land on. And always, always tape down. Even though these have sticky tape on them, you still want to tape it down because you just don't want your magnets flying around. Your pages won't stick down properly. You'll hear them rattling around. So just doesn't hurt to put that little piece of extra tape over top. All right, now we will put the negative on top. Then I know they will land right where they need to be. So I'm going to hold down my pocket, hold down this flap, pull tight, and just let them fall. Press that down, and there they are. So I'm going to tape these. For this one, we're going to have magnets here going this way, and then this, let me see now. Yeah, we're going to have magnets here going this way, and then magnets here landing on this top flap. Okay, so And when I put them, I leave a little space to the left and the bottom. Tape that down. I'll tape this down. This little bit of extra tape helps the design paper stay stuck also, and helps the magnets not move around. There we go. So now I'm going to have to put 2 more right here. If you want to save on magnets, you could try it in the middle. Maybe, I mean, sometimes they sell a bigger magnet. Let's see, I'll show you which ones. They have this size also for things that are heavy, or you just want to stay down. You could put 1 in the middle. That's up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 on each side. Alright, and we'll put the negatives. Okay. And there we go. So basically this pocket's going to go this way and then that way. So lots of space there for pictures, and it just looks cool. All right, now this one you have to be careful. Okay, so when I put this insert in here, I'm going to stop right where this 1/2 inch fold line is. So it sticks out 1/2 inch from the edge of this pocket page. So I'm going to put my 2 magnets here. Okay, so now I've got my 1/2 inch right here, and then I'm just going to fold it over. Oh, silly me. Okay, that lands right here. That's interesting. Well, I still need to put a negative. Let me see something, because there's a magnet right at the bottom here that lines up exactly with this one. So let me test this out. I may be able to skip that one. Let me see. Let's see how this works. All right, so let's see. I fold this over. Makes a little bubble. You know, this one I'm going to leave. This one, I think I'm going to scooch it up a little bit, because otherwise there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just gets kind of thick. Let's see what happens if I don't have this one here. It just happened to line up right on top of each other, so I could just take this one out and save ourselves a magnet, because this one is landing right on top of that magnet that's underneath here. I could do that, or I can, see, it makes a little bubble here. So what I'm going to do instead, you can do that. If yours doesn't make that bubble, I don't know if you see it right here, but it makes kind of a bubble in the middle. I'm just going to move this up and see if I can avoid that. If I went like this, sometimes you just got to play around with it. Just don't want that bubble in the way. I'm being a perfectionist, I think. Let's see if this works. That works, and I don't have that little bubble going on there, so I'm just scooching this one up. Sometimes you just got to see what works while you're doing it. There. Okay. Okay, so now let me show you how I decorated it. Just one more thing to mention in case I forget to. When you have your book at the very end, okay, and you're gonna take this pocket page and glue it onto this hinge right here, you want to just take this piece out, okay? I don't want this getting any glue on it, because you're taking off the tape and putting glue on each side. So always take your inserts out. All right, just one more thing to remember at the end there. I will try to remind you. But this is our page. We finished page 1. In the next video, I will go on to page 2. But let me just show you what I did so you don't have to flip back and forth between this video and my walkthrough. I will show you what I did. All right, so now ignore this, we'll do that at the end. Page 1, we have our 12 by 12 pieces of Stamperia clockwise. It was the back of one of these papers, but I used this paper, which you'll see, you get extras of this. There's 2 in each pack, and I put the clocks and gears on the other side of this. This was the other side of this piece that has the watches on it. So I put that here first, and I just love this, so I wanted this to be showing. So when you close these flaps, these watches and this key will be showing. So I put that first, and then this was an extra piece of that same paper. This was also from that paper. I put on this is Tim Holtz. It's a keyhole. Actually, no, it might be Graphic 45. Let me look real quick. I think it's Tim Holtz. Tim Holtz has these keys. I put a brad in and just love the way that looks. The other side is this same clock paper. So you will have lots of space here for pictures. And it goes right up to about there. This is the gears and words are on this side. The other underside of this is just a mocha looking brown piece of cardstock. I put that same brown back here. This is a piece left over, I believe, from the same piece. And the booklets here, I just made at the end, but you'll have about 12 of these ephemera cards. And basically you take one and you put it on a cardstock here, cut so that there's just a little bit showing. Then I put a pencil mark right here where I made the fold line, folded it over, and then cut the other side. So that's really how I make these books. I could show you at the end when I'm doing all the booklets. But I made a bunch of these ones. These are all leftover scraps. This is just a photo mat. I love this paper. It was left over. And you could put more in there if you want to, but that is it for that. And that gives you just a nice look right here. So next video, we are on to page 2, and I will see you soon.